Hello everyone, my name is Timm Schoening and I'm affiliated with GeoMar, the Helmholtz Center for Ocean Research in Kiel. Welcome to my presentation on making marine image data fair with IFDOs. For this talk, images means photos and videos as specified in Dublin Core. If we talk about FAIR, of course we all know the acronym. If we dig a little deeper, there are the FAIR guiding principles, and if we really want to look at what those mean, there are FAIR metrics, such as, for example, the 41 FAIR metrics defined by the RDA. If you look at these in detail, and we try to do this here with a schematic sketch, you see a big mess of dependencies. So this here is only half of the truth, so this is the F and A part of FAIR. And in these FAIR metrics, there are, for example, some requirements such as that data has to be identified by a persistent identifier, or that data is identified by a globally unique identifier, or that metadata is offered in a way to be harvested and indexed. And there's of course the other half, so the I and R of FAIR, and in there is one requirement that metadata has to comply with a community standard. And this was the challenge for marine images, simply because there was no suitable metadata standard for marine image data, which is why we invented what we called IFDOs. And IFDO means Image Fair Digital Objects. And these define a format on how to record image metadata, but of course this is only a little part of solving the challenge of making marine image data fair. In this case, it is just solving this one FAIR metric here. So what's really required to make marine image data fair is that this IFDO concept has to be adapted to solve all these other challenges. So for that, really a lot of infrastructure is needed. And here I can only show a brief overview of the infrastructure we're using. So at the bottom left, we have some mechanisms, some factory to build IFDOs, which are depicted here by these green onions. The IFDOs are then published through some sort of repository. Their existence is made known to the world through a data portal. A PID mechanism, such as the handle server, is provided to access the images which are stored in some sort of media asset management system. And at the far right, we have community tools that make use of the IFDOs, such as image annotation or AI tools. So the media asset management system, or MAMS, addresses some of the requirements. You can see at the top right, there's a tiny mini-map of where we are within the FAIR requirements. Also the repository addresses some other of those. The data portal, of course, makes sure that the data can be discovered by other agents in the world. And the handle server, and in our case, the image broker infrastructure, they provide the PID infrastructure to have this globally unique identifiers and persistent identifiers to the data. What's very important to us is the right part of the equation, so the community tools that make use of the concept, because these ensure that the marine science community really wants this IFDO concept. This is where this investment in metadata pays out. So for example, we implemented the IFDO concept in the state-of-the-art marine image annotation software Beagle, which really obfuscates the complexity of the metadata schema and hides it for the user so they can focus on their task at hand in doing marine science rather than focus on image data and metadata handling. So with the IFDO concept and with the FAIR marine image infrastructure, we can address almost all of the 41 FAIR metrics. We do have two open flanks here. You can see at the bottom left what's currently missing, and I don't think this will ever be solved, is that we have qualified links to other data or other metadata embedded within the image data itself. And the other part at the top right there with these dashed red lines, this is the provenance part. To me, that's one of the big challenges in getting FAIR. that we don't really have a community standard for provenance. We have something embedded into the IFDOs, which is based on the concept of W3 Prof, but it is really far away from being a standardized process. So this is something for the future to look into. I really hope that the FAIR community develops something that's a bit more modern than W3 Prof and something that's really usable for the IFDO concept. So in summary, marine images are not fair yet, but I hope that I communicated that it's really the infrastructure that makes the difference. And I want to end here with some material around the IFDOs, a repository where you can contribute, the online documentation, a peer-reviewed paper on the concept, and some hands-on material that we published as Ocean Best Practices.